What's up, you guys? My name's Ian Kenrick. Welcome to Ion Motive, wherever you're watching this, YouTube, or if you're listening to it on podcast. Thanks for tuning in today. It means a lot to me. Let's get started. So, as you might have noticed, I'm going to be talking about thinking about your thinking, why you need to be aware of the things you say to yourself, the thoughts that are running through your head, why you need to be intentional in the way you think. I think this is a super interesting topic, and trying to understand what I'm thinking about, why I'm feeling the emotions I'm feeling, things like that. Thinking of that has really helped me emotionally. It's helped me feel better in what I'm doing. It's helped me to deal with things in the future. Overall, it's benefited me so much, and I'm happy to share my thoughts with you today. I'm going to start by talking about intention. I think intention is such an interesting concept. Just being intentional in what you do, how the things you do to reach your goals, things like that. Chris Hogan talks about intention. If you've ever heard of him or listened to any of his content, he talks about being intentional in order to secure financial freedom. Ed Milet talks about being intentional all the time. It seems like he mentions it in his podcasts pretty much every episode. So it's a really, really important and valuable concept. Being intentional is so deeply important. If you aren't intentional in the actions or the things you're doing in the next days, in the following weeks, months, years, in your life, it's going to be much harder to reach your goals, reach your aspirations, do the things you want to do. That is why you have to be intentional. So often I hear people talk about being intentional in their actions, but what about being intentional in your mindset, in the way you think? Thoughts are running through your head constantly, and those thoughts play a huge part in what you think about yourself, what you think of the world, what you think of everything. For that reason alone, you need to be aware of what you're telling yourself on a regular basis. Is it good? Is it bad? Think about why it is you're thinking what you're thinking. I'm going to talk about a few examples to see how we can really become aware of what we're thinking, how we can become conscientious of it, and how we can be intentional in our thinking, think about our thinking, and use this to our advantage. So let's talk about something like anxiety, fear, or worry. All these emotions, all these feelings are something we have all experienced at one point or another, and will undoubtedly have to address again in the future. I'm going to talk about fear first. So we feel fear in situations that are uncomfortable. So let's say, for example, you get uncomfortable in social situations, we'll get really specific here, let's say meet new people, meet new friends. That can be an uncomfortable thing to do. And a lot of times we feel so much fear and then anxiety and worry about what people are going to think of us, how they're going to judge us, what they might say. And then we get anxious about it all the way up to the point of having the opportunity to meet new friends. And at times people will back away. They will shy away from doing so because the fear is so great. But what is the fear actually telling us? So from my vague understanding, fear is a survival instinct, right? People feel fear to alert them or warn them of dangerous situations. So our heart rate will begin to increase, our breathing will start to breathe faster because a dangerous situation is ahead. So think back, thousands of years when cavemen are walking through and they stumble upon a dark cave and they can't see into it. They get scared, they feel fear because there might be a saber-toothed tiger in there waiting to attack them. That's why these reactions, these bodily responses kick in. Because there is a dangerous situation. There is a potentially life-altering event. So why do we feel this in uncomfortable situations? Why does our heart rate increase? Why does our breathing intensify? Because we're afraid. But let's think about this. So I'm going into an uncomfortable situation. I'm trying to meet new people. I'm trying to work on my goal. I'm going to go back to the example earlier. I'm trying to make new friends. I might feel anxious, worried, and afraid. But let's think about this. If I can actually think about why I'm feeling these feelings, I'm afraid because I sense some kind of danger, being judged, being made fun of, being laughed at. But this emotional response is unnecessary. Realize, okay, there is no real danger here. There is no life-threatening event. I'm feeling these emotions, but they're unnecessary at the time. Whatever. If something didn't go well, you get made fun of, you get laughed at, but that's okay, right? We get so worked up. If we can actually think about why we're feeling these emotions and understand that it's irrational, we can overcome it. If I know going into a situation, I might feel afraid, I might feel these intense emotions that make me want to back away or back down. And I understand that they're unnecessary, then I can push myself further and further and further. It is important to realize these situations are not life-threatening. The consequences, yeah, whatever. Things might go bad one time, but that's okay. We need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We need to be aware that there is not a deeper issue there, that it's okay, that if we push through it, we can overcome these feelings and be better and feel better. Think of Batman. First of all, the trailer just came out. I think that movie looks dope. I think it looks awesome. I'm pretty excited to see Robert Pattinson. I think he's going to do a good job. But anyways, think back to why Batman chose the bat to be his symbol. If you've seen the Dark Knight trilogy, in the very first movie, he falls into a well. Excuse me, I couldn't remember that word for a second. He falls into a well, and there's a bunch of bats down there, and they start flying around him, and it's this traumatic memory for Batman or Bruce Wayne. When he is training to become a hero, he picks a bat as his symbol because it scares him, because he is terrified of bats. The man literally just dives into the fear, goes right at the uncomfortable situation, and becomes the thing that scares him. So, if I'm scared of going into a social event, or I'm scared of starting my goal, I'm scared of whatever it is, you just need to dive in and become that thing. You need to start working on your goal. You need to go to the social event, whatever it is, to overcome that fear. That's just such a deep concept. That's so interesting to me. And it just, if you can actually do it, those feelings will fade, right? You see Batman in his Batcave when he's got the suit on in one of the next movies, and all the bats are flying around him, and it's pretty cool. It doesn't scare him anymore because he attacked the situation that was provoking anxiety, worry, and fear. Now that I've talked about serious, specific situations where we feel negative emotions, let's talk about a more general, regular, everyday basis, why it's important to think about the things you say to yourself. To become more conscientious or aware of what we're thinking about, I think we can do this in steps. So, step number 1, what am I thinking about? Actually realize what you're saying to yourself, whether that's good, bad, or neutral. Second, why am I saying this? Third, how can I change this if I need to? And fourth, how can I use this to my advantage? So let's start with the negative. If on an everyday basis you're saying, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I will never reach these goals. Oh, people don't like me. You are going to become that thing. The thing that you repeat in your head all the time is what you will become because you believe it. There's a I posted on my Instagram once, I got to pull up an interesting statistic. This statistic is from the National Science Foundation. Roughly 95% of your thoughts are repetitive. What are you telling yourself? Because that will replay through your head 95% of the time. And 80% of those thoughts are negative. That's actually a terrifying statistic. So if you can understand what you're thinking about, how harmful these things can be to your overall well-being, you can begin to change it. So think about what it is. I'm having all these, step one, I'm having all these negative thoughts. I don't believe I'm good enough. I don't think I'm ever going to do X, Y, or Z. Why am I feeling this way? Is it because of past experiences? Is it because you failed at something? Is it because people told you you weren't good enough? Whatever it is, figure out why you're thinking like that. Be intentional with this. Number 3, how can I change the way I'm thinking? I think the answer to this is much more personal. It depends on who you are. You need to pretty much figure it out for yourself. So a couple of the things that have helped me when I realize I'm thinking negatively or I'm thinking poorly about myself. Going back to, I think, my very first Ion Motive episode, I talk about filling my head with positive information. So when I'm really down on myself, when I know I'm becoming very negative and I'm repeating the same thoughts over and over and over, I would change what I'm listening to. I still do this to this day. I try to listen to a podcast every single morning about self-improvement, self-development, happiness, fulfillment, things like that. And if I hear those things, especially to start my day, I begin to change my thought process, the way I'm thinking about myself. I'm beginning to not judge myself as much. I'm taking it easier, and that's helped me a ton. The second thing that has helped me in dealing with these negative thoughts, addressing these negative feelings, is understanding what I have done to become better. So to clarify, let me tell a story about baseball. First of all, baseball is great because it is so based on how you are feeling mentally. If you are not at peace in your mind, if you're not confident, you're not going to hit very well. But if you are at peace, you are confident, you are relaxed and excited, chances are you are going to do much, much better, which is why it's so great. It's such an important, I love that sport. Your mindset is the most important thing in that game. One of the things that helped me when I was doing poorly, if I was, on a bad hitting streak, maybe I was 0 for 10, 0 for 15, something like that, I would tell myself, hey, look at the work you've done. Look at the practice you've done outside of actual practice by yourself. Look at all the work you've put in and realize that you have the skills to be good. You have done everything that you needed to do to perform well. And if I actually thought about that, I would be like, yeah, you know what? I can do really well. Everything is within me. It's all in my head. If I just try to flip my way of thinking, I will do better. Much easier to say than to actually do, which is why, again, baseball is so great. You really need to actually believe it. If you can realize what you've done and that these negative thoughts don't need to be there because you've done what you've needed to do to be positive, it's much easier to start changing this way of thinking from negative to positive. And obviously it's not like a light switch where it just flips on and off. It's a process. It takes time to do this. It's hard, but those are 2 ways that have helped me. Like I said, I think it is much more individualized. You kind of need to figure out what works for you and just try new things and see if that does work for you personally. Now let's look at if you're thinking positively. So why am I feeling positive? Why am I telling myself these positive things? Chances are maybe your past experiences have been positive with whatever the given situation is. You've put in the work, like I said, and realized, hey, I can be positive about this because I know the things I have done have helped me and put me in a situation to be successful. Why are you thinking like this? Well, just kind of answered the second step as well. Number 3, how do I need to change this? If you're thinking positive, you don't really need to change this. You can always be more positive. The last step, how can I use this to my advantage? Let's say you have this positive mindset and you're going into, we're going to go back to the social situation because I've been using that for this whole episode. Now, instead of feeling fear, anxious, or worry going to try to meet new friends, if I'm doing this and I'm feeling positive, it's much easier to do. You feel confident going in. You know that, hey, if this doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'm going to go be myself. I'm going to enjoy the moment for what it is. I'm going to take it all in. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. That's okay. I love that Will Smith quote. I don't even know if it's from a movie. I think it's just from an interview where he says, "He who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right." What you're telling yourself actually dictates what you will do in life. There's that other cliche quote. I have it hanging above my door, my house back home. But attitude is everything. So cliche, but it really is. If you can actually understand what it is you're thinking about, create a positive mindset and a positive attitude, tell yourself good things. Tell yourself you're going to be successful. Tell yourself you will accomplish all those things. Tell yourself all these positive things. You're going to be so much better off than if you're repeating these negative thoughts all the time. That is why it's so important to be intentional about what you're thinking about. So if you realize those negative thoughts or feelings are starting to invade your mind, slow down, think about why they're there, think about how you can change them, and then once they're positive, think about how you can use them to your advantage. And it's okay to feel negative emotions from time to time. Everybody feels that. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be worried. It's okay to be afraid. These are all very real human emotions. I don't mean negate them or act like they're not there, but understand what's happening with them and think about how you can change them to benefit you. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope this was of some value to you. I honestly think mindset is the most important thing in life, in working towards achieving your dreams, in trying to be successful, trying to meet new people, trying to do new things, whatever it is. Mindset is essential, and for that reason, it is necessary that you understand what you're thinking about, why you're thinking about that, and so forth. Thank you again for checking out this Ion Motive episode. I hope it provided you with some value, as always. Until next time, remember the Ion Motive, live a charged life.